say that every man has got two wolves inside. One of them is a black one of them is white. They say the path you walk depends on which one you feed. One of them will heal you, one will make you bleed, one will make you bleed.
Hey, good morning. It's Gabriel, Sacred Awakens Radio. My co-host, Andi Wich, is with us. Hey, Andy, what's going on?
Living the dream, bro.
Yeah, we're trying, right? I mean, actually, we're not trying, we're doing, but I mean, some are trying, some are doing. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again on Sacred Awakens Radio here on KCAA. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but I always forget because Andy and I get so excited to jump into the show. I always forget to do shout outs. So I have a few shout outs to do. First of all, I want to shout out to all the tattoo artists out there, all the artists, all the musicians, all the people out there struggling, all the people out there trying to make us happy with your art. I love you. And I think that's what life is about. And I'm certainly about paying homage to that. And those of you that can't see me on the radio, I look fabulous. I mean, I've got a new tattoo on my wrist or my thing, I don't know, the palm, which I had to do because in my infinite wisdom, I thought marriage was forever. So I tattooed a marriage ring on my left finger. Turns out that apparently it's not. So I turned it into something beautiful for me. And then I also put a little tattoo on my left eye, like it's a teardrop, but it's grander than that. And I got my nails painted this weekend at a fabulous nail salon where I fell in love with everybody in League City, Texas. Those girls are amazing. If you want to stop by and be beautiful like me, and if you're ever in League City, Texas, go say hi to the girls at Galaxy Nails. Hey, I told you I would shout out to y'all, right? Go say hi to your local community because that's what we're trying to do. I support my community, right? Y'all support yours, please, by all means. Let's get out there and share some love and look pretty while doing it because, well, the last show we tried our best to honor all the women out there for Mother's Day, right? That's what I did. I enjoyed time with my sister, who's a mother, and my dog, and I tried to spend some time with my mother, but she wasn't feeling up to it. So yeah, I went and got in touch with my feminine side, got my beard all purple, and I'm ready to go. And thank you for everybody in the community for supporting and loving us. Thank you for tuning into the show. We've got a lot coming up, so we'll get at it. Y'all heard Gary Garver come on with Andi and I 2 weeks ago. Andi, I believe.
It's been a couple.
Yeah, listen, you know, time doesn't exist, and with the work that Andi and I do, I don't even know what day it is most days. But Gary was on with us. Gary has been so excited. If you haven't caught his podcast, if you haven't caught his TikTok, if you haven't caught his Facebook Live, the man is witnessing some pretty cool stuff, right? I almost said the S word, but I didn't. Gary has reached out to me. I guess I'm going to be jumping on the show. Andi, I don't know. I'll stay tuned. I guess we'll get with Gary afterwards, but he seems to be feeling the spirit, so he wants to talk about it. So
Awesome.
I'll get back to you guys on this, but look for Andi and myself on other podcasts. We're branching out. Cheyenne Moon has invited us. We're going to be on a podcast with Miss Moon. Y'all, please, that brings me to this. If you're listening to us right now, we're having a little trouble with the website that will be rendered, squared away here shortly as this radio show progresses. It progresses with Andi and I because it's changing, which is life. It's constantly changing. And so we've got a lot coming up. So bear with us. So I'm going to do this real quick. If you need to find us, you can find us on the show. Go to the website, the show website. Okay, that's most important. Secondly, Andi, go ahead and give them your information real quick so I can circle back so they can find us.
Yeah, it's Fenrir_Andi on TikTok. It's FENRIR_ANDI. You can find me on TikTok. Follow me. Have conversations. That's what I do, man. You're gonna see me post a lot of things about spirituality, about inner work. because that's what I am, as a facilitator and a guide into the spiritual, into the inner work. That's a great place to find me, connect, go from there.
Right. So reach out to the show, reach out to Andy. You can Google his name. The show rant line, y'all call that. Tell us if we're horrible. Tell us if we're good. Tell us if you
Give
have
us a
an idea.
topic.
Yeah, give us a talk. Listen, we just sit up here and talk
Hmm.
about what we hear about in life, because I don't tune into pretty much anything outside my own world much anymore.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But I am aware, and Andy's aware of things that are going on. So absolutely, the number to find us on the show is 909-353-1050. Okay, that's 909-353-1050.
Call it.
I'll even give you my personal cell phone number that y'all can call the rest of the day, because it's going to be turned off. But if y'all want to talk to me today, I might even give it on air before the end. Who knows? There's no telling.
Hmm.
But if you can't reach me there, let me give you my personal email, because I will, and Andy will. We do try to respond. Please understand that we talk to thousands of people all over the world, but we will get back. And if it's an emergency, let us know, right? Because nobody needs
Well,
to.
I think it's really interesting is that everything you're talking about is community. And one thing about building a community is actually being there to be present in the community. And when you're talking about, getting out into the community, you went to the nail shop, right? Well, it's
Yeah.
not just going to the nail shop. It's actually how you talk to all the ladies that were there.
Right.
It's community doesn't mean go and
And spend money.
commercialize and
Yeah.
spend money and buy everybody's stuff. It also means, it's that holding the door for someone, saying
Yes.
hello. It's when you say, "Hey, how are you today?" And someone's like, "I'm all right." You're like, "All right." Or do you stop and say, You're just all right? You all
Yeah.
right, man?" And
Yeah,
then
man.
really sit in there and have a conversation. Community is built by people, not by buildings.
Now remind me to circle back, because I just lost my train of thought wherever I was going with that. Andy, just make sure that I go back to, oh, hang on. Keep me back to that one. My personal email, G Rains, RAINS 72 at gmail.com. Talk to us. Send us the stuff.
Mm.
If you Google my name right now, and Andy soon, because we're going to tie it to the show, I'm the only thing that pops up, people. GABE. Last name is RAINS. Everything about me is on there, including my cell phone number.
Mm.
Right. So it's out there, right? I'm not going to give it on air right now. I might, but please understand, if it's an emergency, you call me, text me. I do respond. I just don't respond to y'all asking me out and asking me to read your mind and all the other stuff. I'm not doing all that. But if you're in need, you reach out. We'll figure out a way to try to make sure that we are there for you by showing up. So whatever we can do within our power, I'll do it. Right. The show is going to do it. That's what Sacred Awakens is about. It's about awakening the sacredness within, which is love, period.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
So yes, absolutely reach out to us. Google us, find us on all social media platforms. We have a lot to offer. There's a lot of people out there that we share this information. They all have a lot to offer. And so this show is your voice. The only way you're going to be heard is if you let us know what's going on. And I assure you, we'll talk about it. That's what we do, is talk. So it's also important to know that,
Well, or listen.
well, yes, listen so that we may address it, speak of whatever. But that's something that I wanted to say, because Andy reminds me a lot. It's hard for me to ask for help. It's almost impossible for me to ask for help. One, I did and nobody came. Two, if you set in your whatever it is, okay, I don't care what it is. If you just set in it, the more frustrated, angry, sad, depressed, whatever, if you can just set in that and experience it and not act upon it and not take it out on anybody, it's amazing that if you sit there long enough, and Andy can attest to this, sometimes it's days, it can be longer. If you will just sit in what you're going through, you tend to be able to step outside yourself and look at it from an
Mhm.
outside perspective. And when you can
Mhm.
do that,
Mhm.
it's amazing. I will tell you, Andy is my other male half. I don't know how to explain it, but he never tells me what to do. He just asks
Mhm.
me questions that allows me to get to where I'm going. And this weekend, this brings it up. I do. Everyone does get caught up into things sometimes.
Mhm.
It's almost unavoidable at times when you're first getting into it. But if you'll take a step, breathe. If you don't know what to do, call somebody that you know is going to be able to tell you just that. Hey, dude, breathe.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Because I got into a situation this weekend where I had to carry around $17,000 in cash. People, I don't need a gun to defend myself. I don't need a knife to defend myself. I'm quite capable of defending myself with my hands, but carrying around $17,000 in cash in today's society with the things that are going on is a little nerve-wracking. And I was
Mhm.
forced into a situation to where I ended up having to have a sidearm and I put a gun on me.
You
And
were
what,
forced into the situation, or you forced yourself?
well, I forced myself into this situation by allowing myself to get there. I was put in a situation that I felt was could have been dangerous and that caution was needed.
Mhm.
Um, do I think that I needed a gun or a knife? Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I can handle any situation without it. But I guess the day I was feeling, I just didn't want to mess with anything or anybody. I didn't even want, I guess at that particular time was, can I defend myself? Sure. But is it worth 17 stitches or whatever may happen? Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't, or maybe nothing's going to happen at all. Right. So what did I do? Called Mr. Wick, looked at it from an outside perspective. I left my sidearm in my vehicle. I left my knife in my vehicle. I went into the bank, asked the security guard to please walk me out. He walked me
Mhm.
out, and then I looked around, made sure nobody was following me. Jugging is what it's called, people, just in case you don't know, because they do this. And the reason that I was a little nervous is because a man was jumped here recently and all of his money, 80-year-old man, right? No. So what did I do? I was observant. I was cautious. I was vigilant, right? I was aware that there could
Mhm.
be a caution, there could be a danger. And then I just
Mhm.
didn't obsess about it and nothing ended up happening.
So I'm
Huh.
going to rewind all of this
Go ahead,
because
man, because this is what we're
this
doing.
is great,
Yes.
because I think this is really good for a lot of people to understand is how often we let fear of an unknown become a projection into a situation. And what I mean by this is that, so Gabe had the money and he knew he was going to have it. And then what happened is there's certain fears that project possibilities of what's going to happen and create action based on a projection and a judgment that we hold, whether it's true or not. He had this cash. He knew someone got jumped. Immediately starts thinking, I need to have my gun, my sidearm, right? Projecting a possible outcome of people coming after you, trying to get your money. Instead, he breathed, he let that go. And then he said, okay, I am aware that I feel like I need protection, asked for help, and a security guard walked him out, and everything went without incident. So, really, the fear helped with awareness and discernment. However, the projection of it was something that we often do. We always project what's going into a situation and actually could create that situation versus just letting it be what it is.
Exactly. Or fall. Yes. Okay. So what did I do? A lot of us are trained in certain aspects of our life, right? And so I know if you go back to the military, if you go back to a construction job, any high danger job, if you fall back on your training and what you've done and what you know, the likelihood of you getting into a dangerous situation is minimized. Can it happen? Sure. But if it happens, you have to fall back on what you know, your skills, your training, or your past experiences. right?
Well,
So
in the military specifically,
yes,
aren't you taught to project the worst case scenario? So you have to know everything that's going on just so you can be ready for it, just in case.
not only that, but you actually are you ready? You actually
Hmm.
have to be certified. It's called a chit to use a mop, a broom, anything that you touch. You have to demonstrate knowledge and go through an entire. I know it sounds redundant. Well, how can I get hurt mopping?
Mm.
I get right. I don't know. Somebody's done it, you know. So yeah. So exactly. So you are trained, right? Same thing in mixed martial arts or anything else. You're always preparing for the worst case scenario. Well, in this case, after speaking with you, I realized I'm pretty much trained for all of the possibilities. If one of them happens, then I fall back on that and then, react.
Hmm.
So by putting a sidearm on, there's a couple things, people. Let me just explain something to you too. Well, very well. When you open carry,
When
what
I.
is it? Whenever anybody, when
Mm.
anybody open carries,
Mhm.
you are either a target or a deterrent, depending on the
Mm.
actual situation. So, given this situation, if you're in a bar and you have or if you're in any situation and you have a gun, and I came into that and I was a criminal, the first people that I take out is everybody that has the open guns because they're the threat, right? Because they're
Mhm.
visible and they're a threat. Now, if I do that, then I can anticipate that everybody else may be concealing something, at which case I've already taken out, neutralized the immediate threats. So now there's possible threats. If they go to, then I do that, right? Well, that's great if you're skilled, right? If you can navigate that, right? Some people are going to see that as a deterrent and say, I'm not going to mess with him. Some people are going to say, that's the first person I take out. Situational awareness, right? Well,
Interesting.
you can be a target either way, right? That's why a
So
night.
so
Go
your
ahead.
training is that anyone that has a gun is either a deterrent or a threat.
Pretty much. I mean, if you think about it, why do they have the gun? Are they a police officer? Do they know how to
No,
use it?
but
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
is
Yes.
that the training? Is that
Basically,
re-
it's assess a situation. Yeah, assess a situation, look for possible dangers, observe every outcome, isolate, neutralize the situation, whatever it is, right?
right?
Because in most cases, it's death. Okay, let's just
Mm.
take the right. Whether you're handling a weapon, whether you're handling an explosive, an ordnance, whether you're changing the tire on a tractor, it doesn't matter, right? It's still the thing, right? You go if you're going to the tractor and you look around, you're supposed to look around, look for all safety. That you're doing the same thing in your scope of wherever you're walking. You should do that,
Sure.
ladies. Um, People, first of all, you should put the cell phone down because, well, 5G and they control your brain with it. We can get into that later. But when you're distracted, that's when you're the most vulnerable. When you're looking at your keys, right? When you're looking for your car, that's why you always try to park in the same place, know where you parked, know your mission, know where you're going.
Mm.
Observant people are less likely to be targets. Same thing in a bar, same thing in a bank, same thing in everything. The people that are standing there confident and looking around and observant, you're less likely to be taken advantage of, right? Most crimes happen at night. Why? Less things for you to see, right?
Man,
So,
it's really incredible to me to hear this perspective.
mhm,
It's not how I live.
right,
However, what it does help me realize is how many, I mean, especially really good friends that I have that are veterans that have seen war,
right.
that have seen battle, that have been trained, that having that mentality
Mhm.
as something that is ingrained for survival, because I mean, you really have to be, especially if you're in time of war, if you're in time of combat, to come back home.
Mhm.
It makes more sense why it's so hard to reintegrate.
Yeah, because
Because man,
you're so you're told when to get up, when to go to the bathroom. I mean, your
mhm.
whole day's regimen. Do you get some time? Yes, but you're basically in a dangerous situation 24/7. Let's keep that in
Oh, yeah,
mind,
all the time,
right?
all
So
the time.
when you're at sea, it doesn't matter. There are more ways to die daily than when you a lot of times when you're going to war, right? Because the war's
Right.
been that.
This
Yes.
is what you're taught. You're
Mhm.
taught to be aware of all of these ways.
Have you ever seen somebody
So,
get? Yeah. Have you ever seen somebody get ripped in half when the shoring line breaks off of a boat?
mm,
Right.
mm-mm,
Most people have never have. I have. I've seen it.
no,
It's not pretty.
no,
Right.
couldn't be.
There's so many things, and that's what when people are, come home. Well, oh, you have PTSD. You fought in the war. I got PTSD the first 15 minutes on ship.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, PTSD. That's why I love. Hey, Maya, you're supposed to be on the radio with us. We love you. We miss you. Golly, man, she explains stuff so amazingly. Yes, it's about just being aware, right? Looking at the
Mhm.
things, being just realizing that just because dangers are out there that exists doesn't mean that they're present all the time. You have to be aware of them. Well, when you come home, you are so used to being told what to do, where to be, what to right, and you're on a state of alertness, readiness, especially if you've been out at sea. And I'm talking about the Navy, all you soldiers, right? Whatever, man, deal with it. Get your own show. Whether you're a soldier, it doesn't matter. Whether you're a Coast Guard, go Navy, right? It doesn't matter. We're all in this high, like ramped up, and then so what happens? No matter, we're used to the chaos. Fire, done. Oh, there's a guy dying, done. There's a girl. It doesn't matter. We run towards the danger. We flip out when there's no danger, right? Because we're always on alert. We don't know how to rest. We don't know how to be out of our
But
minds.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if there's danger or not.
No.
That training specifically, the way that you've described everything, and this is, I really do appreciate this, is
Uh-huh.
so opposite of my perception of anything, right? I haven't been in the military. I have not been trained by the military to be ready for these types of things, right? Or to be alert in that kind of way, right?
Well, yeah, and
I
if you
can be alert to energy when I walk in places. I can feel certain things.
right,
However, I was not trained to quickly assess, figure out who is my threat, what is there that is something that could harm and or benefit me in whatever I'm doing right there, right?
correct, right.
And I what I love is how open you are about some of these things, because I think it's so important, because how many veterans have been trained in this way, which I would say it sounds like 100%,
I don't know.
like boot camp, anything like that.
I don't know what the Air Force does, but all of the rest of us. No, they are.
Well, I mean, do
Yeah,
you
no,
learn?
it ours. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Listen, guys, just so y'all regular people know, we bag on services, so don't ever take it. I can't even say the
I
things
don't.
on. I can't
I
even
don't.
say the things on air that we tell each other. But yeah, to a certain degree,
Right.
it really is dependent on your MOS or whatever. But you get basics of it, right? But let me expand this,
Mhm,
right? Because in spirituality, we're always trying to expand, right? So let me expand on it even
mhm,
more. What people don't understand. What happens when all your family's been military, as mine has? Like
mhm.
well, a couple of my uncles are wieners. They couldn't do it, but the real men. Love you guys. Our grandfathers, our other grandfathers.
Okay, and do you also hear the diminishing of that programming you just did?
I did, but they're
Because I
listening.
didn't do it in the military. Am I a wiener? Am I not a
No,
real man?
no, you're
That's what I'm
not.
saying.
No,
But
you're.
but my point is, this also goes along with certain programming that we're told.
It does, but I'm also calling out some family members that made fun of me for right. But so don't take it serious. But you also have
Mm,
to. You also developed a sarcastic sense of humor where you use this as deflection and in a
yes.
way to be able to take something that is very serious and try to make it not so serious, because what I found is
Yes.
that if you make it too serious, people don't listen. Right.
Right.
So there is some of
Right.
that. But yeah, look, if you didn't serve in the military, that doesn't make you, I am no greater or better. Let me tell you this for people that don't know, because I love the men that are like, oh, I wanted to fight for my country. I didn't want to fight for my country. I don't like my
Mm,
country right now. Right.
mm.
Because I didn't like the government. I got into trouble, man. I was in a gang. I was going to die. I was going to overdose. I ran. I did, right? And the reason why is because this is where I want to go. My entire family was military. like my grandfather and my dad, my great grandfather and his grandfather. And what you don't understand, people, is that behavior gets passed down, whether you're a farmer and
Absolutely.
you were just
Absolutely.
right. Because a lot of us were born because I was born. I don't know why. I got to get with my parents while I was born. I don't really understand what happened there, but love you, mom and dad. Listen, we go to heaven and we're like, we want to volunteer, right? And then we get down here and it's like, oh my God, what's going on, right? These are my parents. My dad and granddad and all, they went into the Marines and they came out and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not going in there, right? Well, then my dad and my grandfather instilled all this stuff in me before I ever got in the military. So from the time I was born, I was groomed, taught, right? And then I have all this anger. Dad leaves because he's from Vietnam, right? Did not function. Still to this, Dad, I love you, right? He had shell shock. He had all this stuff that I didn't understand until now. And so when I called him and we had the conversation, yeah, he's like, man, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know any of this. Well, he didn't know that he was passing down those traits to me, right? His dad beat him, his dad before him, blah, 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 because they were not born out of love. They were born to be what? Farm workers, kids working from the time that they could crawl, basically.
Little soldiers.
Or farm workers or whatever they needed. It wasn't out of love. Wasn't until later on in life we were supposed to do all that out of love, right? Well, so you are raised to not cry, rub dirt on it, right? Not show emotion, not bend but don't break, all that stuff. So then you go in, and then so when your dad leaves or your grandfather or whoever your father figure is, and you go back into school, what happens? Same thing. Coach, oh, you got some anger. You need to play this position. And then you get hurt and you're like, you're not hurt. Get back in the game. So then you go in the military and then you come out and you go to take a breath and you can't, it's hard. I'm not going to say can't. I have, but it only took me 48 years to get here. We'll let that sink into everybody. It took me 40 years to be able to find peace. 48 years to be able to do what I'm doing right now, which is
I got to tell you, man, it's the energy of today is so much of the old paradigms being looked at and having to be, they're so out of alignment.
Yes.
And people, and especially, and you know, I know women are going through it a lot, but I can speak for men, and the men that I've met and I've noticed, so many men are really struggling because they're so out of alignment with who they are, with what they've been told they're supposed to be. The story of our society, the story of military, the story of all of these things is so out of alignment. I mean, people, there's a reason why there's a 22 a day for veterans.
There is, yes. And
20,
thank you.
22 men and women of uniform take their lives a day because of they are out of alignment with themselves so much that they cannot fathom being on this earth anymore. That is the truth.
That is the absolute truth. And that is, hang on, let me breathe.
So while you're breathing, just take that in. This is also real for people that are non-military.
Yes, thank you.
The amount of people, and 22 a day, I got to tell you,
is low.
Is a low ass number.
It's
Excuse
probably
my language, but
44.
it's higher.
Yes.
Right, because there's other statistics and other things that it goes into. The 22 is like an average, I don't know. But honestly, I think it's low. And especially today, spirituality is being taking such a huge leap because people are at a point where it just doesn't make sense anymore. And they can't fight that. And that's okay.
Okay.
Sacred Awakens is awakening to the beauty of who we are versus who we've been told we're supposed to be.
Thank you. And you know what? Here, watch this, guys. If y'all aren't watching this, listen to this. Andy, I want to kiss you. Yes, because he's absolutely right. I wasn't going to say this today. People, I wrote a suicide note. It's sitting on my desk. breathe.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, man, I wanted to kill myself pretty much every day of my entire existence, right?
Mm.
And this time when I broke down, and I'm telling you, I broke down. I lost my mind, whatever you want to say. I had to in order to be able to be strong. But I'm telling you, as I laid in that backyard and asked God to kill me, that take my life, I mean, I literally, people, I got down on my hands and knees and said, take me,
Mhm.
please. And this is what I said, and y'all can all hear it. I cuss so bad. I'm tired of loving this world and not being loved back,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I've been, and let's just say, people, when you become spiritual, I don't know how to tell you all this. I can't explain. You talk to your ancestors, right?
Mhm.
And they will tell you what you've done in every lifetime and what they've done.
Mhm.
It hasn't been pretty. Y'all Google my name. Look at this up. Gabriel Rains. That's my great great grandfather. The man was on a brigadier general. He destroyed everything in his path, both sides. One side went to the other side, fought. Native Americans need to be taken out for some reason, which I still don't understand. Wipe them out too. I talked
Oh,
to.
I could tell you why.
I know. Yeah, right. But
I
my
could
point
tell
is,
you why.
ready? I didn't do that, people. I didn't do
Mm.
that. That was not me. I didn't do it. Ready? I'm sorry that my ancestors did that. They're sorry. Why? Because I speak for them and they told me to tell you they're sorry.
Mm.
But us have done some things in this life that shouldn't have been done, period. Wars were fought for the wrong reasons. Fights were fought for the wrong reasons. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it, right? I fight for me now.
Mhm.
Nobody can order me into a fight.
Mhm.
Nobody can control my feelings. Nobody can judge me. Nobody can make
Mhm.
nobody.
Here's
Nobody.
and here's what's the thing about that.
Yes.
That is the point. That through all the spiritual work and however you want to say inner work,
Mm-hmm.
it's about loving self. It's
Yes.
about honoring self. All the things that I was looking for my whole life, I was looking for this love to complete me, this love to complete me.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is inside of me.
Yes.
And the deeper and the further and the wider that infinite goes, where I get better knowledge of what's going on with me, the deeper and wider my acceptance and engagement of everyone else can be. Now, what I mean by that is can be.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't love me, if I'm ashamed of me, there is a limit to what I can then give to another, right? So
Yes,
many people
absolutely.
say, so many people say, hey, man, I always give all of myself. Okay. When you start giving all of yourself to you,
Yeah.
you're going to find, dude, what you thought you were giving all of was a tip of the iceberg,
Man,
just the
yes.
tip, the depth of it. And when I personally walked with not wanting to be on this earth anymore, that's because a part of me that was so out of alignment with the behaviors of what society told me I was supposed to be wanted that part wanted to die. That part wanted to transform because death in spirituality is transformation. There's a part
Yes.
of me that wants to transform that way of life no longer has value or can help me move forward. Instead, it's just being stuck. It's an anchor behind that. I don't want that life. I don't want to do that life. And so, like when you said, I surrender what this life has become,
Mm-hmm.
that also allows it to become so incredibly expansive because there's no longer this limit of I'm this guy. I'm 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 a dad. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
GM. I work 8 to 5. I'm a company guy. This is who I am. I'm military. I'm whatever. My MOS is who I am.
Yes.
Once I let go of all of those definitions and let that just fade and just say, dude, I just am.
Exactly. And I love Andy's nice conversation, so I'm going to bring this. Oh yeah. Right.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
you're the Kool-Aid man, people. Look, when we were kids, we were taught to drink the Kool-Aid, man. Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Mm,
Right. And also,
mm.
let's go into some stuff. They kill us with the water and the sugar and all the crap in the Kool-Aid. That's another show. Follow us. We'll get to it. But there's more to this, man. Yeah,
We live in a capitalist society.
we
If
do.
we don't understand that every single thing around us is to make money, fast food is so you can keep yourself unhealthy. The other day
Mhm.
I ate at one of the fast food places, right?
Right.
And first of all, I spent way too much at fast food for four people. Like, what the hell just happened?
Right.
Anyways, I got the food. I ate it. And so people understand I eat
Hmm.
more whole foods and I work out almost every day.
Right.
So I try to keep my body as healthy as I can.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that because when I ate this fast food, I immediately knew that
Ugh.
this food was empty. I was like, dude, that felt like it feels like styrofoam in my stomach.
It just takes up.
There's nothing,
Yes. Yeah,
it just takes up room.
it does.
And if that is that unhealthy and I'm putting that into myself, then I'm not taking care of myself. Then what happens? Then I have to go to the hospital over time. And so I have to go into hospital and then feed the machine even more.
Right.
Everything in the capitalist society is built to make money off of me.
Because there's no balance.
Mm,
Period. Right.
mm.
The scales of justice are blind for a reason. It's not because it's supposed to. It's because
Bro, that doesn't have to be balanced. There has to be me giving them money. It has
no,
nothing to
but
do with my balance.
no. Well, balance in this. Ready, Andy? If you
Mhm.
ate that meal one time, you're going to be fine. If you ate it every other month, you're going to be one. Right.
Right.
Right. But it's balance. Right. Don't go eat it every day. Right. So balance. Is society balanced? No. Is the government balanced? No. Right.
Mhm,
So we have to balance ourselves. When we balance ourselves, going
mhm.
back to what Andy said, because he
Yes.
and we could talk on this show. Hey, Gary, when you come on, we need 8 hours. Love you, buddy.
Now,
Maybe 16, dude. All right. And
marathon.
I'm coming to California and we're doing this in studio in prime time. It's going to happen. I just invented it because my words are power. Abracadabra.
Manifest it, man.
Our words are our power. Okay. So when we're getting into this unity, there's no community without unity. There's no
Mhm,
ready unity without community. Right. Okay. I used to be homophobic, racist, all kinds of things. I'm not that
mhm.
anymore, right? Why? My nails are, if you could see my nails, I've got flowers. My nails look like women's nails. My nails look better than women's nails, period. Any women that has better nails than me, come show me because you don't, right? Okay. My beard looks pretty, man. I got purple hair. The lady came up and goes, "Who dyes your beard?" I do, right? I get more compliments from men and women being genuine to myself that
Mm.
don't know me than my own. Mom, I love you. Danielle, I love you. My family, I love you. I got a tattoo on my face. I think I'm disinherited. I don't even know that they're going to ever talk to me again because I got a tattoo on my face. Society is going to look at me and go, "You can't work here." I don't like you anyway, society, so I don't care, right? Love you, but you don't pay my bills, right?
Mm.
It doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't, because if society's not going to accept me and I accept myself, what's it matter? Right? Because I am my community and there's unity in my community, baby. That's why, right?
Mm.
I start my community within.
Mm.
And as Andy
Mhm,
said, so something that we
mhm,
didn't recap. Last
mhm,
week, Andy and I, and the week before, I've called out Friendswood High School and the police department and the government because they're not doing their thing. Let me recap
mhm,
on that. I didn't do that out of anger. I didn't do that out of anything other than ready. A 13-year-old, whether it be my daughter or anybody else's daughter, shouldn't be afraid at school. She shouldn't have access to drugs. She shouldn't have her dadgum cell phone, period. I didn't have it,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
They shouldn't have TVs. They shouldn't have any. I just solved the problem with all the nude pictures and all the stuff right there, right? Now they can't Google their drug dealer to get it. Hey, Friendswood High School, please get your stuff. I'm the community because children go there and I love the children and I'm speaking out, but I can't speak out for Andy's community. I can't speak out for everyone else. I can do what I can within my community. But if Andy speaks up with his community and so on and so forth, Aren't we taking our little community through the radio show and addressing the things that are going on a micro level? Because if they're micro, they're macro. If they're macro, they're micro. This is how economics. Everything is about opposite or equal or balance. If it
Mm.
scales, you got to bring it back. If you're on a teeter totter with a larger person than you, because Andy, I'm trying to, right, be very cognitive of my words because I was fat. Look, I'm going to say it. If you were on the teeter totter with my fat butt before, right, and you're skinny, it's
You're
out of
rocketing.
bounds. Yeah,
You're out.
you're out. You're
See?
not going. And if I decide to jump on that, you are now a slingshot, right?
Mhm.
But if you go get a couple of your friends, maybe some rocks or whatever, put them on there, we can have some balance and we can enjoy the teeter totter. Even if you're smaller than me, think through the situation. It's not that hard. It's balance, right? People, we got to learn to balance and we got to balance within. All right. Andy didn't wake up to where he is by doing DMT. I did, right? I don't necessarily recommend that, but I'm telling you right now, what it'll do is throw you right in the middle of yourself and go, here you go, buddy, figure it out.
Man, I dove into self-work and did it every day. Like not small.
No, it
I
did.
I took advantage of being, I mean, I was a very successful general manager of a
Mhm.
gym, and that led to, when I was home with COVID, that led to really good unemployment benefits.
Yeah.
And thank God for that, because that alone helped me to get through enough
Yeah.
to work on who I was inside,
Hmm.
and I never stopped. I never stopped.
Thank you. And,
Th-
and yes, and you know what? It shows, and I'm proud of you. And even in the time that you look different, you act different, you're different every day, every second, every minute. You change. I change.
mm,
We all change. And
mm,
just what he said, people, COVID, let's take that. Let's take any event right now outside.
mhm,
Here's what happened during COVID for me. I looked at my wife. I'm like, let's go buy an RV. I bet they're cheap and nobody's traveling. And she goes,
mm,
well, there's travel restrictions. I don't know. Give me a ticket. They're not, I don't care. And she's like, guess what we did? I went and bought an RV. We traveled during COVID.
mm,
You know what else I did? Meditated
mm.
for several hours. I got in trouble for my,
Man,
you know what I'm
so
saying?
you were traveling during COVID?
Oh, yeah, I did. Listen, let me tell
Man,
you this.
how gorgeous, how beautiful was Mother Earth during that time,
It,
when little humans and all their cars weren't running all around and
oh,
driving all around. How beautiful was it? It
it
was
was,
so green.
it was
Mm,
beautiful. But, here's the deal. I kept getting into trouble by everybody because they kept telling me to put a mask on. I told them things that make me, right?
mm.
Guys, I didn't do it with love, really. I mean, I got to be honest with you, that was kind of jerkish,
That's not love.
not right. But then it's like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. I appreciate you, right? There's other ways to do it, but I've been very militant, and I just didn't take doo doo from anyone, and now I don't take doo doo from anyone. I just,
I don't
right?
be taking your doo doo.
No, I'm
Get
not
your
toilet
doo doo
paper.
off me.
No, right?
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Mm-mm. But you know what? That's when I have to set, and I'm thinking, is this of love? And it feels like it's not of love. At the end of
Mhm.
the day, I'm realizing that I love myself enough that I'm setting the boundaries and stuff for me, right? And I'm not responsible for anybody else's love or their feelings or anything else. If I'm doing it from the heart,
No.
not right. So all the people are like, that hurt my feelings. You hurt my feelings. I didn't hurt your feelings. All I did was speak what I spoke, and right.
Mhm.
I didn't do it out of meanness. I didn't use any cuss. I wasn't degrading. Well, let's do that. Now go look in the mirror, right?
Well,
Everyone,
that's the same thing. If
yeah,
you say something that makes me mad, right? If you say something and I get mad, or my reaction or my response is anger, it's not it's not you. It's
right.
not you. It's
No,
me.
yes.
It's it's something inside me. And people, like, when we're talking about the awakening process, the most beautiful thing is when you have someone that really, really hits you. It's such a wonderful opportunity that they just gave you, to stop and listen to that part inside of you
Hmm.
that is screaming to be heard, that is in pain, that maybe you've ignored for such a long time.
Ready? Here we go. I'm gonna give everybody a little bit of this is a change your perspective, change your reality, change your words, change your life, right? This is what most people do. Ready? You trigger me.
Mm.
what you did triggered me. You made me
Mhm.
mad. You made me angry. You made me feel unloved. You made me feel unwelcomed.
Right.
What did I do? Uh, What did I didn't I didn't do anything. You did, right? Because you don't like something within me. I'm being me or trying to, whatever it is at the moment. You be you and then realize I'm a mirror, right?
Yes.
So
There
if
it
I'm
is.
if I'm sitting there saying, ready, you're a man, I wish we could cuss. You're a this, that, this, and whatever, right? All I
Frassing, schmassin,
right.
bassin.
All I'm doing is looking in the mirror and calling myself that. So,
That's correct.
right. So let's guys, we got to go back to this divorce thing so I can do this. Ready? This is great. I love my wife.
Mm.
I do. But people, this is what happened. I thought she could save me, and I thought by loving her that it was going to fix me because I loved her more than I love myself because I've already told you I spent my whole life wanting to kill myself. So I never wanted to really live anyway, right? And then when I met her, I felt so. Let's just take her out of it. All
Let's
women,
stop,
women.
stop,
Go
stop,
ahead.
stop right there. Just
Yeah.
stop, stop, stop.
Go.
I thought she could save me, right?
Thought you could save me. Yep.
I thought I could say so, which
Thought I could.
is
I thought I
I
could.
think I can save me.
Yes.
That's I think I can save me. Then you said, what else did you say? I thought she could.
I forgot now. I thought she could save me.
Mhm.
Um, I loved her more than I love. I fell in love with her,
Right.
and was not in
That
love with myself.
correct.
She
Correct.
fell in love. People, I'm going to tell you right now. I don't care what anybody says. She loves me. I love her.
Mm-hmm.
She.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Guess what, Crystal? I love you, sweetheart. This is my first wife. She loves me. I still love her. I love it. Right? We've gone over this. I love. What happens is sometimes when we fall in love with somebody more than we love ourselves, we get lost in them and we lose ourselves because we're more into them than we are us. So what happens sometimes in the spiritual awakening, what happened to me is I woke up and realized, man, I'm kind of attractive. I like my sense of you. And I started falling in love with myself. And in doing so, my wife felt abandoned because I was loving her nonstop, putting her first, my kids first, my family first, everybody, society, everybody first. And when I did this, whoa, and started giving myself a hug, they're like, wait a minute, you used to spend that time with me. Wait a minute. You're going to meditate for 3 hours?
Well, that does actually show something. There's many relationships that we have in our life that once we start walking our own path,
Yes.
those relationships were built based on a definition or an idea of where you were at that time. And
Right.
if someone's not ready to walk forward with you,
Right.
what they're going to want is you to just be who you were.
Correct.
And it's not even a negative thing to them.
No.
It's just they're like, what's going on, right? Because now you're changing your definition and who you are, and you're opening up. I no longer know how to define myself in that. I mean, imagine something is so expansive that it's so hard for that person to see. So how do they even begin to know how to be them in that,
Thank you.
right?
Let me take it one step further because listen, my family always accuses me of talking a lot about myself. I
Hmm.
do. I'm my favorite subject now. But let me do
Hmm.
this also. Ready? Let me take ownership in what Andy just said. You know what I didn't do after I changed, Andy? That I
What
realized that
didn't you do?
I didn't have the opportunity to talk to my wife and say, or my family, or anyone else and say, hey, I'm changing and I'm no longer that person. And so I didn't do a very good job of setting some boundaries and saying this stuff, right? So when I'm going through this, I'm like, hey, that's not me, Leap, right? Because I was, man, let me tell you something. When you wake up to yourself, you don't know who you are, and then you like, that's me. It scares the living Beetlejuice out of you because Beetlejuice 2 is coming out, right?
So it's so
It's
getting to know yourself.
it's scary.
There was a part that scared the crap out of you.
Heck yes, man. Still
Yeah.
does, right? There is a side of me that people like to see, want to say they want to see, where I black out, my eyes turn black, and then I destroy everything and didn't remember. People, I did that all the time. When you do it for the first time and you remember and you get to witness it, it's not pretty.
Mm.
When you witness your shadow, dark side, whatever the part that you don't like about yourself, and you meet that,
Well, it's the part that you've kept
yes, hidden,
quelled for so long. Yeah.
and
Dungeoned.
probably yourself too, right? You've
Sure.
definitely hit it.
Absolutely.
So when it comes out, you're like, that's not me, but it is.
No, it is.
It is. And guess what? Then when you sit with it and have a conversation like, hey, why do you let people trigger you like that? Why do you do this? Right? It's all about that. When you start asking the right questions and you start
And
getting it.
it goes back to a very young age when
Yes.
something really bad happened to that part of
Yep.
us. And at that age, we've created a behavior that would protect us. And then
Correct.
that protector or that behavior we've become so ashamed of,
Yes.
we've buried it so deep
Correct.
where what happens is you black out, you see that, and then all of a sudden it comes out.
Yep.
Man, imagine you were caged
Hmm.
for 44 years and the only time you could come out was very little, but no one paid attention to you anymore.
Right.
Your voice is no longer heard.
Right.
You're barely given scraps. You're not
Yep.
fed. You're not cared for at all.
Mhm.
If that part of me is still down there, man, even in that beginning, when I go to see it and
Mhm.
welcome it back,
Yep.
there's going to be a little bit of time for that part to be heard,
Yes.
to be loved, to
Hmm.
be cared for, and reintegrated.
Yeah. And Andy, we only got 4 more minutes. This show's gone by so fast. But
Mm,
let me say this real quick. Does that not sound like a bunch of animals in a cage? Does that not sound like the white
that's
tigers that
exactly
are?
it.
Is that not the white tigers? Listen, let me tell you something. This Houston, Texas, we have white tigers down here in an aquarium. They're miserable, right?
Absolutely. I can't
Okay.
go to zoos, man.
And guess if you let them out, guess what's going to happen? They can't function in society anymore because they've been in a cage for, and then we got to try to reintroduce them, and then we don't. Well, let
Well,
me ask.
so many times, if they're in a cage for so long, you let them out of the cage, they still stand at the
Yes.
doorway of that cage, not knowing what's
Mm-mm.
out there, because the only safety they've ever known
Is a cage.
is that cage.
And this is where I'm going with this. Would y'all like to go see humans in a zoo and look at them in cages? Anybody out there? We do it to animals because,
Go to a corporate building.
yeah, because that's what, ready?
Just walk in.
But I'm in until 40, until Andy 44, until Gabe Real, whatever my name is today. I'm changing my name to a symbol too, people, by the way. I'm going to do it. Yeah. I was in a cage, man. I was in a cage. It was caged animal. And I asked everybody to let me out of the cage. And finally, one day,
Dude, it's not
run.
even that, dude. You
Yeah.
believed you
Yeah.
belonged in that cage.
I
You got
did.
to a point where that cage was your own, no
Yes.
longer anybody else's.
Don't.
But I believe what you think I should be in for so much that, yes, that is my cage. I believe it's my cage.
Yes. Yeah. People, we put ourselves in the cage by believing that the bars are real. The bars aren't real, people.
Correct.
Bars aren't real, man. Nothing that we see in society is real right now. That's why I sometimes laugh. I have to laugh sometimes, man, because it's like a big people. It's just like we're watching a TV thing, right? When you go to the theater and you're eating your popcorn and people are getting like bad things are happening, you go home and live your life. That's kind of what you do as a spiritual leader. You look at them and be
Oh,
like, right? You're like, yeah, man, this is I don't. Well, I'm gonna go home.
I call it USA season, where we're season 2023 right now. It's the same stuff you see over and over again. And I'll go over that more, but I know we have no time.
Yeah,
So
we got 2
I'm gonna
minutes.
take. I'm gonna take 2 minutes just to say
Do
thank
it,
you,
please.
Q. You're awesome.
Yes,
Finally saw him. He came in front of the camera.
dapper looking dude, right?
So dapper.
Yeah,
Looks so good. And yeah, and Q's the one who holds a space for us to play like this, and that's my gratitude for Q.
yeah. And let me reach out to Sacred Stone, the studio that I'm in. I love it. It's in a part of town that's very historic. It's also in a very well, it used to be it's called the Third Ward, okay, which is it was not a very popular part of town, right? People didn't give it what it needed, but I love it here. It's got so much history. Um,
Mm.
Q, I'm pretty sure I'm like one of the only white guys walking around, but I am so accept. He laughed, y'all. I wish he would get on mic. I talked to Q because he's my audience, man. This guy was just when I walked in, he was so quiet and whatever. And he still doesn't know what to think about us, but Sacred Stone Studios being here is just beautiful. Sacred Awakens being here, because the only thing sacred in life is love and waking up the fact that you're it, man. I don't know, man. Love is all there is, and loving being sacred is loving being weird, loving being me, I love it, man. We got 39 seconds. Andy, love you, man.
Love you too, bro.
I love talking about this. People, follow us, please. Give us some topics, or else you're just going to hear us rattle on. But man, it's amazing, and I love each and every one of you. And we are so honored to have you on the show. And I hope y'all all find the light and love that we're just trying to bring. We got 18 seconds, brother.
I'm out.
I'm too.
Good.
Hey,
I'm grateful, joyful. I'm out.
Love y'all. Thanks for joining in. Follow this show. Please blow us up. Reach out. Be one. Be you. We're all free. One love. Thank you. Love you, brother.